All right, what's up, everyone? How's it going? I am absolutely honored to have the Waji Khan all the way from Ontario on the live show today. And we've all heard of Malcolm Gladwell as an author, and he wrote a book and he talked about connectors as a type of people, and these connectors are certain people in a profession that know everyone, that have the ability to get things done, and really basically connect us all together. And for me, my definition is this dude right here, Waji Khan. And dude, thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me.
No, I've wanted to actually get you on for a long time. So I know you have an interesting story. I know a lot of people have heard of you, but not a lot of people know exactly who you are. Tell us about you. How'd you get into dentistry? Do you love the profession? How did you just tell us your story, my friend?
Well, I mean, when you said Malcolm Gladwell, I thought you were going to talk about Outliers because Outliers is perhaps more appropriate. I'm not quite sure if I'm a connector. If people know me, I don't know if I'm famous or infamous or whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I
Yeah,
could probably
yeah.
tell you a million things that are bad that people would know me for, but probably a lot of good things as well for those who know me as an inner human being. So I started out in dentistry and back in 1997 at the University of Toronto, graduated in the class of 2001. So because of COVID, I missed my 20th reunion. But if any of my classmates are out there, there's a whole bunch out in BC and stuff like that. What's up? How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing on the West Coast? I love you guys. I miss you guys. Drop me a line sometime. If I haven't connected you guys in a while, it's not because nothing personal. It's just a timing sort of thing. Graduated in 2001. In 1998, when I was in my second year, the Canadian Forces came rolling around and said, if you we'll pay for your tuition and we'll pay you a salary if you come work for us for a couple of years. And I was always interested in the army, going through high school, taking courses, in terms of Canadian history, modern Western civilization, that sort of stuff, 20th century world history. Canada really played a very significant role on the global front. And one of the things that's sad about going to university is you kind of get shoeboxed into one area. If you're lucky, there's only like one thing that you like. But if you've got diverse interests, which many of us have, you kind of sit there and say, and I kind of like business. I like economics.
Yeah.
I like health sciences. I like chemistry. I like physics. All types of things. What can I do? So at the time, it was kind of like, okay, well, being my parents were immigrants from Pakistan or India,
Yeah.
and what's the thing? It was kind of like, basically they were like, if you're going to do a Bachelor of Arts, you might as well, learn how to play guitar in the subway because that's what you're going to be doing. So
Typical
you better.
immigrant response, man. I heard that same thing too.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's the former president of the Ontario Dental Association, Harry Hodiono. He got an award, and I think he's half Polish and half Filipino, and his mother's Polish. And his line that he said, his mother used to always say, "The only thing better than hard work is more hard work." Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like the immigrant mentality that gets beaten into you. And even myself, like now, like I work really hard, and sometimes my wife says to me, she says, "Why don't you just slow down?" And I said, "Honey, like." When I have a day off, I'm bored. Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
I need something to do, right? Like I need something. There's got a project or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so having studied all these things in high school, I kind of had a passion or an interest for the work that the Canadian Forces have done as peacekeepers and peacekeeping roles, the roles that we played in World War One, the Newfoundland regiments, all the famous battles. You talk about Ypres, Passchendaele, obviously. What's the thing? Forgetting the name here now. I can't believe this. The hill. Okay. Anyway, so Somme, the Battle of Dieppe, what's it called, D-Day and all that sort of stuff, the Korean War. So I was very interested in that, and so when they came rolling around, it wasn't a very difficult decision for me to say, okay, you know what the heck, why not? Let's just go sign up for this. Plus, it take the financial load off my parents. Being
Totally.
immigrants and stuff. Like literally, tuition when I was a student in 1997 was $14,153. Do you know why I remember that, Nikki?
Why is that?
Because my dad gave me a check for $14,153. He's like, go to dental school, right? Like it's just amazing, right? Like I mean,
Wow.
they saved every penny. My parents, they saved every penny for their kids. And so when I finally joined the military, the military, basically gave me the money for my tuition. So I wrote a check back to my dad for $14,153, and he was like, "And listen, son, you don't have to go in the army." I said, "No, no, Dad, I'm not going in the army because of this, but realistically speaking, I didn't want to be a financial load on my parents either. Plus, I
Right.
had an interest in it. It was fun. So graduating, we got posted out to Halifax, Nova Scotia, which growing up in Toronto, I think you're in Calgary.
I was in Calgary. Yeah. Good memory.
You practice on the border of Calgary and Saskatchewan, right?
I'm in on the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Yeah.
Sorry. Alberta
Yeah.
and Saskatchewan. Sorry,
Yeah.
Calgary is not a province. My apologies. So uh, my
Typical
wife,
thing from a guy from Toronto to say, right?
yeah, my wife actually graduated from Saskatchewan in 2003, but I didn't meet
Oh,
her in dental
nice.
school. I met her later. So
Yeah.
yeah, home is always home, right? Like I mean,
Right.
no matter how you paint it, home is home. Like even yesterday, they're talking about some student got shot in Toronto at some 14-year-old kid shot some 18-year-old
It's
kid at
tough.
David and Mary Thompson Collegiate, which is at Midland and Lawrence. I used to be at Midland and Lawrence all the time. The Scarborough Light Rapid Transit Midland Station right there between Midland and Kennedy. I know that area really well. So, I mean, everything always hits home for you in certain ways. But getting posted out to Halifax initially it was tough just because Canada people are very unique. BC is different than Alberta, is different
Yeah.
than Winterpeg, which is different than Ontario, which is different than Quebec, which is different than Halifax or even
Yeah.
Newfoundland. So
Yeah. Yeah.
initially it was difficult, but the dental community in Nova Scotia is a really small community, about 500 dentists in all of Nova Scotia. And Dalhousie, basically, most of the people that are there are Dalhousie grads.
Yeah.
They welcomed me with open arms. And really nice people, right? Like super,
Totally.
super nice. So I practiced there for 6 years. I was able to get some additional education while I was there. I did it part time, but basically the regular stream MBA program at
Oh,
Dalhousie.
really?
And then
Wow.
I did the Masters of Education program at Mount St. Vincent University. And then I got involved in some research, actually in the the Masters of Engineering program at Dalhousie. But then I finished the coursework, but I never finished the thesis work, which is actually still sitting in my basement somewhere. If I ever need a project, there's something to do there, some promising work that can come out of that. But no, I had some good times out there. Met a really interesting girl in 2006. Decided to basically, make an honest man of me,
Yeah.
and more or less the army career, moving around every couple of years wasn't really something that was going to be conducive to married or family life. The way it
Totally.
went was like this. I remember talking to my boss. He's actually the head guy for the Canadian Forces, the Royal Canadian Dental Corps now, Colonel Jean-Pierre Picard. But I remember chatting with him, and I said, I've been here in Halifax 6 years, where would I be going next? And he's like, "You're going to Petawawa." I said, "Okay, perfect. Let me ask my wife if I want to stick around." So I said, "Hey, honey, if I stick around for another 11 years, I can get like a pension and stuff like that." And
Yeah.
she said, where are we going? I said, "We're going to Petawawa." And she's like, "Is that close to Toronto?" And I was like, "Close to Ottawa." She's like, "Oh, so it's between Ottawa and Toronto?" I was like, "No, it's between like Ottawa and North Bay." And she was basically, it was like, "Hello, hello, hello, where are you, honey?" It was kind of like make the choice of. And in retrospect, I'm not glad I'm not unhappy I left. It was good memories, good training,
Yeah.
great mentors, great friendships, and great experiences. But basically left Halifax, and at the time I had an opportunity to go back to medical school at Queen's. So we moved out here to Kingston, Ontario, and basically that shaped the first couple of years of our life here. And we eventually ended up opening a practice here. And Bob's your uncle. That's where we're at.
Man, how did you go from dentistry to MBA to engineering courses and then to med school and then end up in dentistry? It's like you wear all these different hats and your mind is always racing. Am I right?
You get an opportunity. I mean, life. It's a stupid saying. At least when I was 16, when the movie came out, Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
and in it he says, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never
Yeah.
know what you're going to get." Right. And if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think about it, like really, it is. It's just like opportunities just present themselves. And did you watch the Super Bowl this past weekend?
No, I didn't. No, no,
You
no. I
did
should
it.
have.
Eh? Did you watch the
No,
halftime show
of
at
course
least?
I watched the halftime show. I had to
Okay.
reconnect with my youth.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Great halftime show. I
It
mean, the
was.
only
It
thing
was really good.
I was just puzzled though. I was like, man, they had to modify so many of the lyrics of those songs. Some of them they didn't modify at all. They just dropped I mean, you saw what's his
Yeah,
name? I think
yeah.
Snoop Dogg was
Snoop
like
Dogg's lyrics
dropping.
were changed, and Dr. Dre's were they'll change it as well. Yeah.
Not really. Some of them they just slip by. Like California Love. I mean, like the fourth line, the guy says like, "Put a vest on your Jimmy in the city of sex." I'm like, this is a children's show. Like, what the hell's going on here? Did you see Snoop Dogg dropping like gang lines?
No, I didn't see that.
He was
Really?
dropping the Crips a signal, and then if you did you notice his outfit?
No, I just no.
If you go back and you take a look at his outfit, is the Crips bandana.
Oh, really?
That's on his entire. I mean, my friends are like, "Oh my god, is that Louis Vuitton?" I'm like, "That's not Louis Vuitton, man. That's a gang.
It's a
That's a
gang
gang
sign.
bandana, man, on his shirt."
Shit, man, I didn't even notice that. No, that
But
that
Eminem, when he talks about, in life you have one shot, you have one
no.
opportunity to
Yeah,
capture the moment. Will you seize it or will you let it slip? Right? And then
yeah,
his palms are sweaty, his knees weak, arms are
yeah,
heavy.
yeah,
Blah, blah, blah. So, but like I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is you get a bunch of opportunities that come to you in life,
yeah,
and you have to either go with the flow, roll with the punches. Figure out which battles you want to engage in, figure out which battlefields you want to die on, and basically take up those opportunities. And when I was, like I said, when I was 18 or 19 in 1994, going to university, I like business. I really like business,
yeah.
and I liked health sciences. I liked engineering. My dad's an engineer. He was like, "Come, bete, engineering mein jao, engineering, like, go to
Yeah.
engineering, right?" And I think one of my father's regrets is that of the three kids, my sister's a high school vice principal. My brother's an executive with IBM. Nobody ever went into engineering. And
Yeah.
he's always like, engineering is the best. Engineering is the best, right? So like, kind of like, people say all the time, I hate this, I hate that. But what's funny is that some things are just in your blood, right? And no matter what you do, you can't get away from it, right? You just
Yeah.
can't, right? So it's in your blood, right? So, I got some great opportunities to pursue some of the other areas that I was passionate about, and they perhaps make me the man I am, the clinician I am, the father I am, and the token old fart who I am in the profession now.
Man, I want to go back one sec. You said just like what Eminem was saying, you have one opportunity, one shot, you let it go or seize it. I love that. But my question for you is you're setting yourself up great in dentistry, and then you're like, I have an opportunity to go to med school. To me, the safe route is screw med school. Let me make money in my career. Let me go into dentistry. What made you take the risk to go to med school? Because everything we do in life is a calculated risk. And yet you just pushed what you've just invested so much of your time in away just to jump into another opportunity. What goes on in your head when you're making these decisions?
Well, sometimes nothing goes on in your head. Sometimes you just think that this is something I want to do or something I want to try, something I find interesting.
Yeah.
It's a unique life experience. I think you said it best, which is that you set yourself up and all this stuff, right? Uh, Nobody on their deathbed ever said, "I wish I worked more." Right? Can you agree with me on that?
Dude, I have a really hard time with that, but you're 100% correct because I'm always thinking, man, I got to stay in the clinic. I got to see this patient. You know what I mean? We're always wanting to work more. I love what you're saying there though.
We have pressure, and one of my friends here in the city, he's an awesome contractor, Tony Mendez, and he's always in demand. Like, this guy's like unbelievable what he does in terms of drywalling and putting things together and stuff. And he was going to Portugal for 2 months, and I'm like, how the hell are you going to Portugal? You've got like all this work to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, the work will wait. Right. And this is something dentists don't understand. People think, well, if I'm not open till like 9 p.m., like,
Yeah.
or like, the
Sunday
patients
evenings.
will come, I'm going to lose patients, I'm going to lose business. And I mean, even dentists, like, sometimes there's a dentist who opens across the street. They're like, oh my God, there's a dentist opening across the street. And like normally when a guy opens across the street, there was a girl who opened not across the street, but just down the street. I sent her office flowers and chocolates, and I called her up and I said, hey man, I know how hard it can be to open. Everyone kind of like, turns their back on you, or like, treats you like an outsider and stuff. I know, because I was there. Right.
Yeah.
I said, listen, if you need anything, like, give me a call, or if after work you're having a hard day, you want to go for a coffee, or grab a pop or something, or grab a bite to eat, just let me know, right? Because at least you have one friend you can talk to, somebody who empathizes with the pressures that you go through. I mean, I'm lucky. My wife's a dentist as well, And many times I'll chat with her and she'll say to me, honey, I truly understand the stress and pressures that you're going through, because, she runs her own practice too. And she
Totally.
knows the routine. So a lot of it, I think, is just people need to get out of that mindset, or get that mind block out of their mind, that, listen, you can take a week off, right? Like, I just took a week off in January to go to Boston Red Sox fantasy camp down in Fort Myers, Florida. Now, I'm not even
What?
close. Oh yeah, it was, dude. It was great. It was awesome. It was an awesome time. I had a great time. Like, it was great. I mean, the body doesn't quite work like it did 10 years ago,
Yeah.
but oh man, it was. I had so much fun. Like, just reliving childhood memories. My coach on my team was Keith Folke, right? So I don't know if you can see the picture
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
This one,
Oh man,
right?
look at you.
Right?
I
But
like
like,
that. I
I
like
Keith
that.
Folke as my coach, and Keith Folke was the guy that threw the final pitch in 2004 when the Red Sox beat who did they beat anyway? I forgot who they beat. Anyway, they beat somebody, and they won the World Series for the first time in 86 years.
Right.
Broke the curse of the Bambino, and I was just like talking to him. I was like, "What was going through your mind?" And he's just like, he's like. He's like, "Do you want to know the honest truth?" I'm like, "Yeah, Keith. What's the honest truth?" He's like, "What's going through my mind was just like, don't screw this up."
That's the truth, man. That's true, man. One thing I found out about Waji when I met him, I was a couple years ago. I met you in a restaurant. You just finished Ricardo
STK,
Corn's curse,
Ricardo. Yeah, yeah.
dude. Your memory is wicked, by the way.
But yeah, watch what you say to me. I've got a photographic memory. I don't forget anything.
I know you don't, because I can say it like when you're bringing up people's names, it's like boom, boom. That's why you're the connector, man. That's what I'm saying. But
Except I
anyways,
forgot the name of Vimy Ridge. I
Vimy
called it a
Ridge.
hill. Yeah.
I thought that's what you were going at, but you were calling it a hill, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything. But you make it a point to go to every hockey arena in the NHL, right? And
I
buy a
haven't been to
jersey.
every arena yet. I've been to every baseball stadium
That's what it
in
was.
Major League
Okay.
Baseball. And I'm currently trying to get to every hockey arena, and COVID kind of screwed that up. But
Yeah, yeah,
uh, it's a fun venture. Like, yeah, a lot of it's just the memories. Like, as a dentist, you probably know, especially with social media, you probably know a dentist in like every city, right? So
yeah,
it's just a matter of just calling guys up and say, "Hey, do you want to go to a baseball game with me?" And like, you meet some great people along the way, some great memories and stuff. Obviously the photographic artifacts that you put on Facebook are, the artifacts, but the memories that you make in those experiences is just unbelievable.
man. No, I don't doubt it. But what? Sorry, we kind of got off on a tangent there. But
That's okay.
dentistry. Did you know? When you're saying like, you got to sympathize with people in our profession, and you reach out to your neighbor across the street. Did you know when you're going into dentistry, the stress of this profession?
Once again, I remember working at Sick Kids Hospital back in 1997 when I got into dental school, and the lady I was working with, that was Dr. Patricia Parkin. I don't know if she's still practicing. She's a
How do you know all
general
these
peds,
names,
right?
man? Oh my goodness.
And I
Okay.
worked for her, and she wrote my
Yeah.
paycheck, right? So you
Yeah.
got to know that, right? So and with another girl named Karen Dang, she was the one who I was working with, and basically she said, "Oh, you'll love dentistry. Your wife will love you. You'll be home all the time.
Yeah.
It's such an easy, laid back job," and it can be. Or you can end up picking up cases where it can be the most stressful thing in your life. Like I just described, like, we were talking, before we went on live, cases that come in last minute. I leave my cell phone number on the answering machine. Probably at least once or twice a week, someone will call me after hours with a certain case. And, being a soldier, like, you obviously, take care of your troops, take care of your people, all that stuff. You got that, I'm a healer mentality. And so you want to help people, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you try to help people, you're taking ownership or partial ownership, even though you shouldn't. You're taking ownership of their condition, and it can become very stressful, or you can choose to make it stressful. So you said it's a profession that's not very stressful. It can be very stressful.
Yeah. I think it is very stressful because of the expectations placed upon us. And I don't know if that's expectations we place upon ourselves, or the patients place on us. But I find, once you include money into the situation and finances, and it being more of a private system, I find that the expectations are much more, they're elevated. There's a lot more risks. There's a lot more, like, you need to get this right the first time or else type mentality that goes along in our brains. Can you comment on that? Like, do you find that or no?
Well, I'm going to make two comments. The first
Yeah.
comment I'm going to make is that money is an outcome variable. Do you know what that means?
Please explain.
Okay, is an MBA comment, right? About
Okay.
things being an outcome variable, right?
All right.
Money is an outcome variable. So if A plus B plus C times C divided by this to this exponent equals the outcome variable, right?
Okay.
So never factor money in. Money, you'll make money. I mean, I don't know any
Of
dentist
course.
who's poor. Like even the guy who can't do dentistry is making money, all right? Like I mean, like so that's one thing. I
Right.
think so second comment is I think in school we kind of just being type A personalities. I even noticed this in medical school too. Like everyone's kind of like, measuring themselves up against like other guys and stuff like that. And a buddy of mine, he's a physician. He makes great money. I got another buddy who's a physician. He doesn't make great money. And there's accountants sit there and tell me like, wow, as a dentist, you're making good money. How come other dentists aren't? And the problem is when you start basically measuring yourself up against other dentists, what you have to realize is that that's not an outcome variable. Okay, happiness is an outcome variable that you choose. You choose to be happy, right?
Right.
How much money did you make today? Don't answer that question, right? But how much did Elon Musk make today, right? I
Right.
got
Yeah.
buddies who don't even work. Like, I mean, I bust my ass every day. I got blood and spit, and people are kicking me and screaming at me, and there's like 10 hygienists chasing me, and my practice manager, and phone calls coming in, and all this sort of stuff. I got buddies who literally they wake up at 7 in the morning, they go to the gym, they work out, they put on their nice fancy suits, they roll into the trading bay down on Bay Street, and they probably make 10 times the amount of money I make.
Yeah.
And they're commenting, "Oh, I had to work like 14 hours today." I'm like, "Yeah, but your work included going to the gym, reading
Yeah.
the newspaper, watching the news, going for dinner, going for lunches and fancy stuff. Here I am with like instant noodles with like my like refugee scrub shirt that I've owned for like God knows how long. I even stopped ironing it because like it's like what's the point, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is you have to define happiness for yourself, right? So without giving up your own faith, your health, and your own being. So if I was to look back at a 20-year-old version of me and tell 20-year-old version of me what 46-year-old would be doing, would have, and all that sort of stuff, I would say I'd be content, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem is we put all these external stresses on us. I remember when I was 8 years old, I have an older sister. She was 9, right?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there telling my father, I said, Dad, one day when I'm older, I'm going to have my own box of Oreo cookies. Right? And my dad said, what? I said,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
right now. I got to share that box of Oreo cookies. One day when I'm an adult and I have a job, I'm going to have my own car and
My
I'm going to have
own
my own
box.
box of Oreo cookies. Okay.
That's
But
right.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, if you go, there was a professor giving a convocation address uh, at the University of Toronto, Thomas Homer Dixon, and it was the most boring address ever. The last line stayed with me, and what he
What's that?
said, Nikki,
Yeah.
was so the purpose of higher education and all this stuff. He says, when you leave, don't forget why you came.
Ooh. That is pretty. That's pretty profound. I like that.
So most dental students you interview, why do you want to be a dentist? I want to help people. All right, I'm giving you an opportunity to help people, but like you're sitting there basically asking, how much pocket change this guy got and can he afford the treatment plan and stuff like that. So what I'm
Oh.
just saying is, I think a lot of us divorce ourselves from our beliefs, and we allow external factors to influence us. And really, I mean, most of us have probably reached our 5 and 10 year goals, personal goals for ourselves. It's
Yeah.
just that through time, through some sort of perversive force, we allow those things to be changed. And as opposed to getting to self-esteem or self-fulfillment, we allow external factors like, oh yeah, Doctor So and So drives a Porsche. It's like I drive a minivan, bro. Like I mean,
Yeah.
like, can I
They,
afford a Porsche? Sure, I can afford a Porsche. And I'm not just saying that for like to like to pull out a yardstick, but I'm just saying I enjoy driving my minivan, man. Like when I was how old was I? She's actually a patient of mine now. But my first boss, one of my first bosses when I was working, when I was, I think, 16 at Woodside Square Mall in Scarborough. He had a Dodge Caravan, and man, I love the minivan. I was like, man, I love this thing. This is like you get this upper position, and you get all this room in the back. And lo and behold, as an adult, yeah, I went
Yeah.
and bought a fancy sports car. You get your Audi, you get like your fancy stuff and all that thing. But eventually, you're just like, I want something practical, man. So, what I'm just saying is, you can't let external forces dictate what it is that you do. You need to look inside your own heart, right?
Yeah.
And you need to ask yourself, why did you go into this? What were your goals in life, and have you met them? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the guy down the street's making $3 million, or the guy down the street owns 10 practices, or whatever. It matters, what is it that you want? What are you content with? What's good for your faith? What's good for your health, right? And you have to realize that there's always going to be a bigger fish, right?
Waji,
So
I
you
cannot agree more. I think comparison is the evil. And if you can focus on watering your own grass and all you care about is watering your own grass, and I don't care how green my neighbor's grass is because I'm too busy focusing on watering my own, that's when real growth happens to me.
I'll even go further than
You go
that.
further, buddy.
Don't focus on your own grass. Look at the external world, right? Look at your neighbor, look at your friends, all that stuff. But be happy for them,
That's right. Yeah. I
right?
totally hear you,
It's not
man.
about jealousy, it's about happiness. It's like,
It
I'm
is
like,
about happiness. Yeah.
I'm happy for you, man. That's great. If this works for you, great. And what's the thing? If you're if it's not working for you, you need some help or something like that, we're here to help you, man. That's what we are. I mean, we were, there was a time when we were a profession where there was fraternity, there was brotherhood, and now it's like literally like people have just forgotten what the basic tenets of being a professional are. I'll get colleagues who'll call me up and say, "Yo, bro, I screwed up this implant case. I need your help." I say, "Yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem. If you're close, bring the patient over. We'll work on it together."
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "Okay, like thanks for your help, man. Like, I'm not gonna name names here because it's all confidential stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, the guys are like, "Well, just send me a bill," and I'm like, "Bill?" I was like, "Bro, like, how about how about you thank me by taking me out for dinner, or like, why don't we
Yeah.
go have
Let's
some
grab a
lunch, or
coffee. Yeah.
let's go have a coffee, or you know what, next time I need something, I'll ask you for a favor or something, right? Like, I mean, I'm not in town, I got an emergency, can you see the emergency for me? Or I mean, we were a profession at one point in time, and I don't know what happened. At some point in time, everything just became transactional. It's just like, okay, well, we don't refer to this guy because he doesn't take us out for golfing. It's just like, okay, well,
Now,
shouldn't you refer to him because he's a good clinician? Like, what the hell?
do you find that's different in a larger center? Like, do you find that's more common in Toronto or Calgary or Vancouver? Because I find in a smaller town, I feel like we have each other's backs a lot more. Do you find the more city practices, everything's a lot more competitive? There's the abundance mindset just disappears. Do you find that?
I find it in the small markets as well. I mean, I hate to say it, but when I opened my practice here in Kingston, like literally, I was like the leper of the dental community here. A lot
Really?
of people, including labs and stuff, would turn their backs on me, and they treated me very poorly. And to this day, I'd say I probably have like, I don't know, like a handful of friends. There's probably 100 dentists in the city,
Yeah.
and most probably won't even talk to me or pick up a phone call.
Why?
It's just the way people are, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
not to toot my horn, but I'm good at what I do. I run a successful practice, and
Good.
as opposed to saying, "Hey, man, how can I help you be successful?" They just people just tend to, what's the term? Become insecure,
Yeah.
and as opposed to complimenting you or something along those lines, they would rather bash you down and say, well, that's because he works like so many hours, or that's because he cuts corners, or that's because he probably doesn't wash his hands or something, or that's because he lives in a cave or something like that. Like, I mean, like, come on, like, it's just like,
Yeah.
be reasonable. But I don't think it's the big centers. I think you get that no matter where. I'm going to use another line on you. This is one of my bosses back in 1995, Sherry Galatly. This is what she said to me.
All right.
She said, you have to act towards people, not react towards people. So just be yourself, Nekky,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Karma. I truly believe in karma. The Dalai Lama says it best. If human beings, we could just have a little bit more compassion, right? This world would be a better place, right? So
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
act towards people, don't react. Like, I mean, the Pope himself, John Paul II, he forgave the man who shot him. Can you imagine that? Some guy
Yeah.
shoots you, try to kill you, and you forgive the guy?
Yeah.
That truly is, acting and not
Yeah.
reacting. Because the
No.
most common things they'd be like, yo, like double tap that guy in the head, man. throw, throw, throw him over the balcony, right? Like, you
Yeah.
forgave the guy, right? Which was,
No,
it's
man.
truly. But
But that,
if you can get to that level where you act and be yourself and not react, you will find that the stresses of practice and the stresses of life will be gone.
yeah, I totally hear that. And my girl Lisa Cho, who was on last week, she said, she said something that really stuck with me as well. Is, there's no such thing as competition amongst neighbors or anything like that, because we're all cheering each other on. And I think once you get to that mindset and once you get to that point, everything becomes abundant. And to me, it really clicked with me, and exactly what you're saying too. So I really,
If
that
you're a
resonates
good
with me.
clinician
Yeah.
and you're good at what you do, this is a story given to me by Steve Zaman. He graduated in 1971 from the University of Toronto. He was my fourth year instructor. And I remember, I
Are
think it
you
was around
guys
eight.
starting to understand that Waji knows everyone? Man, I
Now,
don't know. How do you know these people? I can't even remember my
he was my
my
instructor. Like
assistant's
I saw him,
last name.
I saw him once a week for like a whole year. Anyway, his daughter was Erica Zaman. She was in the class of 2002. And Steve asked me, I think it was around April 2001, him and Eric Van Gordon. I'm pretty sure both are retired by now, or at least they should be. They've been practicing 60 years if they have.
Yeah.
Uh, he said, this is what he said to me. What are you doing next year? And I was like, well, I'm in the army. He's like, what are you doing when you leave the army? I was like, I don't know. I'll see if I can find a job somewhere or something like that, wherever I can find a job. And he said, this is a very good story here. Listen to this story. You're going to love this one. He said he graduated in 1971 and opened a practice at Yonge and Davisville in Toronto, and on the third floor or something like that. And he said a guy came running down from the fourth floor and said, what are you doing? And the guy's like, I'm opening a practice here on the third floor. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, I got to practice on the fourth floor. I opened last year and I'm not busy. You shouldn't open here. Go open it like Young and Shepherd. Go to Young and Steeles. Go to Young and Finch. And this is what Steve Zaman said to me. He's like, Waji, it's 30 years later, right? 2001, right?
Yeah.
He said, I have a beautiful practice. I've got two hygienists. I have an associate. And, I drive a nice car. And my daughter, Erica, is graduating in next year in 2002. And if she wants a job, she can have a job. He's like, I'm busy, bro. And he said, the guy upstairs, he's still there too. And he's still not busy.
Huh.
And what he said was the reasons the guy wasn't busy in 1971 are the same reasons the guy's not busy 30 years later. His point was this. He said, no matter where you go, if you're a good clinician, like you have personality, you have ability, you're able, you're affable, you're accountable, all of the four A's that they talk about in surgical practice. Uh, uh, if you have that, you can be busy anywhere, man. Like I've
Yeah.
been like up north in Nunavut. There's like a lineup of like patients. And I mean, the guy who was there before me was like, I'm not like, it's not nice to say, but I think he was using a machete to do his preps or something. But anyway, like, I mean, like, the patients, like after the second day, they're like, there's a good dentist in town. Everyone's lined up for treatment. I mean, don't take it too much of a compliment
Of
because like
course. Yeah.
you're in Nunavut. Like I was at Kugluktuk, like just north of, Yellowknife out by the Coppermine River. But no matter where I've gone in practice, like literally, if you do good work and you're nice to people and you're accountable and you're honest and stuff, you can be busy no matter where you go, right? I don't care where you can open in downtown Toronto. You'll be busy in downtown Toronto. Even in people say it's too competitive. Steve's point was if you're good at what you do, you'll be busy no matter where you go.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that's the best advice for a new grad ever. It's treat people with compassion. Just like Dalai Lama said, just like we were talking about before, and that'll keep you busy.
And the outcome variable is
Happiness.
happiness, money, all those other things. Those are
Yeah.
all outcome variables, right?
That's
They
right.
are not part of the formula. It's like, well, if I go practice in Lloydminster, I can make like, $50,000 a month. It's like, yeah, okay, but you're like, I mean, do you want to be in Lloydminster? And like, what are you doing? Are you doing like unethical dentistry? I just had a patient the other day in Toronto.
Yeah.
He's actually a friend. He's actually a famous friend, right? He basically calls me up and he says, I've known him for like 20 years. He
Yeah.
says, I went to see my dentist, and my dentist said I got like four cavities. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, well, I've been going there every 6 months, and there's a new associate there. They told me I have four cavities. I said, do you have any symptoms, osmolarity, anything? She's like, no, nothing along those lines. He said, can I pop by your office on Saturday? I was doing like an all on four case. I said, yeah, okay. I said, bro, you can stop by. Yeah, I'll take a look. uh, Nekky, his
Yeah.
teeth were impeccable. Okay,
Yeah.
there was nothing. I was like, where were the cavities? He points out the areas, and I'm just like, okay, there's like just like stained pits and fissures, man. Like literally, like I should,
Yeah.
if I could show you a picture, I'd show you a picture, right? Like literally, you could eat off this guy's teeth. That's how clean they were, right? And I'm just like, okay, come on, man. Like,
Yeah. We've all
what
been
the
in
hell's
those scenarios, man. But
what the
honestly,
hell's going
we see
on
that
here,
all
man?
the time. Yeah. How did our
Like, I mean,
profession get to this point?
yeah, that's the question. How did we get to this point? There's a certain element of honesty, and like now all of a sudden he's like, "Can I come see you?" I was like, "Yeah, you can come see me. That's fine." I was like, I just run an implant practice. We have a hygienist in there every so often. I can only I can only manage so many patients in my Toronto office. And he's like, "Well, can you take me on?" I said, "Yeah, you're a friend. I've known you a long time. That's fine. We'll take care of you. That's fine," sort of thing. But I
Yeah.
was like, we're not doing those four fillings, man.
Yeah. No
Like,
kidding. No, man. What's your advice for new grads? Like, you see a new dentist coming out here. I know, we were just talking about outcome variables, happiness, treat people with respect, treat people with compassion. But how does a new grad establish themselves?
well, first of all, I think the majority of your audience is out west.
And man, it's everywhere. Yeah.
So
I'm
first of
really
all,
popular in Japan too.
you,
No, I'm
you
just
need
kidding.
to be a you need to be a Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
No
Okay,
one's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Come on,
you
man.
can't wear that Calgary Flames stuff. Okay, or that
I don't wear
maybe
anything.
maybe the Oilers. Okay, but you got to be a Leafs fan. Okay, if you're a new grad, become a Leafs fan. It'll solve all the problems. But I think the comment I make to most new grads is, one of the guys who graduated year before me, Jung Ho Park, gave me some great advice, which is like, start slowly, man. Like, I mean, you don't need to. I was like, oh, you'll get speed in your first month. You'll get speed. You'll get speed. Uh, don't worry about being fast, because I'll tell you one thing right now: you'll never be as fast as me. Okay,
Okay.
I don't mean it like that, but you know what
I,
I mean. Is don't this is what I was talking about Michael Jordan courses. Like, I mean, we'll talk about that now. I find it always kind of odd that everybody out there wants to go and take a course by, like, the late Carl Misch, or like Istvan Urban's coming into town. I'm going to take his soft tissue grafting course. Oh my god. Like, what's the guy from South Africa? Howie Gluckman's coming in. I'm going to
yeah.
take his course, man. Like, bro, and it's like literally, I've taken Michael Jordan's jump shot course at
Yeah.
least 3 or 4 times, right? And Nikki, I don't understand how I can't take it to the hole like Michael Jordan does, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't draw. I mean, the fadeaway jumper. Right? I got the fingers spread. I got the wrist snap. Right? I power out through the legs. I don't understand why I can't do it. And this is the arrogance we get in dentistry, which is that, listen, not everybody can do everything like everyone else, right? So, I mean, stay within your limits, start slowly, and make sure. And so, what Jung told me was, as opposed to doing like a whole quadrant, do one filling at a time, and make
Yeah.
sure you're doing a good job of it, right? Because, and it was like, oh, just like a little filling. I love doing. One of my mentors, one time when I started out, she's a prosthodontist doing like crazy cases.
Yeah.
I asked her if she could help me out with an amalgam I was doing, and she came over, and man, she just like sat down and took her time carving it and stuff. And afterwards, she's like, "Thank you," and I was like, "Thank you." She's like, "That was so much fun, right?"
Huh.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
"Really?" Like, I was like, "You do
Yeah.
like full mouth like rehabs and like crazy crown preps and implants and like all this other stuff." And she just said, "It's just nice to be able to do something simple and do it well, right?"
Yeah.
And you truly have to have a passion for the basic stuff. Like, I remember one guy who was an associate, like literally this guy couldn't do a simple restoration, and he's sitting there taking courses, trying to learn how to do four canal molar endo, learning how to do impacted wisdom teeth, wanting to learn about implants and stuff. I was like, bro, focus on, just focus on your forehand. Let's go back to tennis here, right? Actually, I was
Yeah.
talking tennis earlier to someone else, but focus on your forehand. If you can't even hit a forehand,
Why
why
are
are
you
you
doing
trying to?
all the other stuff? Yeah.
You gotta. So for the new grads, focus on the simple stuff, man. The bread and butter dentistry. It's something you should be able to do, something you should be able to do consistently, and believe it or not, it's also the most profitable. Like, how many problems occur from simple dentistry? Not much. So learn how to do the simple stuff and learn how to do it well, right? I'm not saying, don't get out of your comfort zone. Set realistic goals, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to sit there and be fast, right? Some people are just naturally talented. Like there's a guy out in BC practicing Comox prosthodontics named Brent Winnett. I remember he joined me in the military. I think he graduated in 2000. What year did he graduate? 2000. He graduated 2005 from Western, and he came in, and this guy had skill, man. Like this guy
Yeah.
had mad skill. Like I was like, this guy's gangster, right? Like this guy, it's like, damn, this guy's got some talented hands and stuff. But not everybody's like that, right? So like, I mean, if you want to compare yourself with him, like this guy is just a natural talent, right? And
Yeah.
what told me this guy was talented was the prosthodontist, my mentor. She needed a filling. She asked him. She didn't ask me. So I
Yeah.
said there, I said, hey, Michelin, how come you're getting him to do it? And she just said, Waji, I would ask you, but honestly, he's got more skill. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
the
Dude,
betrayal, the
I know
gunshot.
what you're saying though, because as a new grad myself, we always want to take these sexy courses. And then you're a new grad, like I was at one point, start signing up for, courses at Coice, and I'm dropping, 12 grand a week taking these courses. I do 7 weeks, don't understand a damn thing. Take it back to work and I
Or
scratch
you
my
don't
head
have,
and I'm like,
or you
what
don't
did I
have the
just take?
patient, or you don't
Yeah,
have the patient base that it's applicable to. Like, I mean, a
totally.
lot of times, we talk about communities of practice. It's a book written by Harvard professor Etienne Wenger in 1999. It's a good book. You should read it, but it's all about how you build a community in your practice. So my practice at this point, being 21 years out, is a lot of implants. Like literally, like some days, like I'm just like, can we just like do like something not implant? Like how about like a simple filling, right? Like how about we just do an occlusal, right? Like take our time. I don't know if you attended this course, but Jay Chun through Core Dental Education, Adanata was there, by the way, was a
Oh yeah,
course
yeah.
run by Mindaugas Kudalis. And Nekky, you take
Yeah.
this guy's course, man.
Man, I'm in. Tell me what's the name of this course? Core Dental?
Core Dental is Jay Chun, but the
Okay.
guy's name is Mindaugas Kudalis. He's like I think 27 or 28 years old. He's out of Lithuania. Both
Yeah.
of his parents were either dentists or lab techs or something like that. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all about just like getting beautiful occlusal anatomy and stuff on composites. It's just unbelievable the work this guy does, all microscope and stuff like that. I was actually sitting beside Jason Adanata when we took the course,
Yeah.
and I could just tell with Jay. That's how I met you, by the way. I met you through Jay,
Yeah, yeah.
and so we both just like literally we're sitting there working away, like like building up cusp by cusp and just having a great time. But it's about having passion for what you do, right? And the guy charges a reasonable amount too. It's not $12,000. I think it was like I think the whole course was like I think it was like $700 or something like that for like the whole day with this guy, right? And I was just like, and we took him out. We took him out for dinner afterwards and stuff too. Like
Yeah.
we took him out. We took him to Lahore Tikka House.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
this is a funny story. So, have you been to Lahore Tikka House in Toronto?
I haven't, no. Well, you're
So
taking me there next time.
I dropped the guys off, and there's Baldev's Bon and drink right next to it. You know what Bon is, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so it's like the little leaf with the
Yeah,
the
the
this
triangle, yeah.
with the fennel and stuff like that inside it. So I dropped them off, and I said, "Guys, I'll be back." So I went to go grab like 6 Bon, right? And of course, they have them in these little like Ziploc bags, and it's
Yeah.
all folded up. And so I go back in the line. I'm like, "Hey guys, check out what I got here, right?" And Mindagas just looks at me, and Jay just looks at me. Adanada, they're like, "Yo, bro, we don't do drugs, man. Like, what the hell?" Like, I was like, "This isn't LSD, man. This is Bon, man." Like,
Just put it in your lip and suck, man. It's all good.
we had to see the look on their faces, man. Like, and they're just looking at me like I met some drug dealer on the corner. I brought back like some LSD for us to get high on or something, right? Like I was like, guys, this is Bond, man. Like, and of course they watched me eat it first and see what happened to my face, and then I
Yeah,
think we took them to a couple other places in downtown, but it was great. It was a good opportunity, great night out, and great opportunity to hang out with some good colleagues and stuff, birds of the same feather, people that appreciate the stuff that he does. Sometimes on social media people will be like, why would you ever do that on a tooth? Like, who cares? And this is like, you don't practice. I mean, yeah, okay, the patient may not know the difference, but we know the difference. Like, I mean, it's
yeah.
about having some passion for what you do. So for the new grads, focus on
It's
the basic
pride.
stuff.
Pride.
Take reason, huh?
It's all about pride. If we don't have the pride in our own work, who will? And
Absolutely.
that's what allows us to sleep at night is having that pride in our work, that we feel satisfaction at the end of the day, and that will keep our careers fulfilled, I think.
Yeah. That's the self-esteem, self-fulfillment thing, right?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, people say patients don't know the difference. Patients do know the difference, right? They do.
Yeah.
They know, they can see it in your eyes, right? And they can see it in your approach. And even though it's extra lexical cues that give it away, patients can tell when you care and you don't care, right? Believe it or
There's
not, patients
no
aren't stupid.
question. Absolutely.
So, so for new grads, I would focus on basic stuff. Don't get, don't be, you don't have to sit there and take Michael Jordan's course. Just take somebody. There's somebody who will teach a course
Yeah.
somewhere. Both of us, we teach PRF, right?
You
Yourself and
teach it better
myself,
than
right?
I do.
Nah, whatever. Like we work together to make it better. Actually, it's a funny story that goes along with it. So like PRF, I didn't invent it. I didn't do any research into this stuff. And I was in Morocco, and Joseph Chakroun, so the guy who
Yeah.
invented PRF,
Yeah. Yeah.
I walk up to him to shake his hand. He's like, well, Waji, how are you? And I was like, how does this guy know my name? He's like, you teach PRF courses in Toronto, don't you? And I was like, no, really? I'm like, like I would have felt better if the guy was like, were you sleeping with my wife?
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, right? It's kind of like that kind of moment, right? And it's just like, you did all the research, you invented it. I did
Yeah.
nothing. All I'm doing is I teach it because I enjoy it. It's fun, right? It's
Totally.
fun.
Yeah. I like
Share your
poking
ideas,
people.
knowledge with
Yeah.
colleagues and stuff like that. So I was just kind of like, and he's like, listen, if you promote my product, I'll be very happy to come on for a half hour during your course. I was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, I'll promote your product and stuff like that. He's like, but did you just tell me you don't teach the courses? I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't teach, I lecture. Yeah.
Oh man, no, but dude, you're so right. You got to start Mickey Mouse. You got to start at the beginning before you can
There's
grow.
there's probably a lot of really good clinicians out there who can teach you courses, without exorbitant fees, who you can have follow up and stuff with. I'll tell you right now, Istvan Urban is not responding to your email, and if you can do it as well as Istvan Urban, good luck to you. But I
Yeah,
will say this: Ricardo Kern, his course is awesome. That's another course you should take.
yeah, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
also reasonable fee too. What else would I say to new grads? I'd say take pictures of everything you do, like everything. Right? It's not hard to take pictures. Just buy an SLR, even like just a stinky iPhone. Joshua Shee, he's been. Have
Yeah,
you had Josh on your show?
absolutely. Yeah,
Like he's on the bites. He does the bite stuff a lot. Great guy. That's actually another funny story. Joshua's from India, right?
yeah,
So the first time I met him, we were on a committee together at the Ontario Dental Association, and it was the education committee. And Josh is a Chinese guy from India, right? But he's got a
yeah.
very thick Indian accent, right?
Totally
And
confusing, man. Totally confusing.
I didn't know this at the time. And so Helen McDowell, she's like the lady who runs it. She's like, Dr. Khan, I want to introduce you to a new committee member, Dr. Shee. Dr. Shee, this is Dr. Khan. And Josh is like, very nice to meet you, Dr. Khan. Like, and I just look at him. I'm like, bro, you don't have to talk to me like that. I speak English. Like, you don't have to put on the accent for me. I understand English without the accent, man. Like, and he's like,
So
what accent are you talking about? I was like, Joshua, you're Chinese, right? He's like, I'm Chinese. I'm like,
yeah,
where are you from, Josh? He's like, I'm from Bombay. I'm from Mumbai. And I was like, oh damn. I was like,
yeah.
Chinese.
Oh, man.
There's 2 billion Chinese people. Some of them are going to be from India, right? Like,
I guess so, eh? Yeah. No, that's
yeah. So Josh talks about taking pictures with your iPhone, but take pictures of your cases. You'll be amazed. Like, I mean, you probably see cases that I post. I'll show you
yeah,
cases I did 5 years ago. I look at the pictures. I'm like, did I do that? Like, Jesus. Like, I mean, like, damn, right? But the only way you're going to get good is by taking pictures of your own cases and blowing it up on a screen and looking at it and being like, yeah, that I can do better on, or I could do better on this. And that's how you get good. What else can I tell young people?
hold on,
Pace
hold on.
yourself.
When you go to taking pictures, you use an SLR. How do you get it onto your computer quickly?
What do you mean?
That's what prevents me. Like, okay, so I take all these pictures. 5 cases. By the end of the day, I got 50 pictures to organize them into files. Like, who has time for this stuff, man? How do you do that efficiently?
So I mean, you got to go back to when I first started with my Yashica Dental Eye 3 and everything was film. So you would take pictures and then you'd send a roll of film down to base photo. And then at the end of the week, they'd send you the pictures back and the negatives and stuff. And then you'd have to sit there and try to figure out
What
which
case
picture
is
went.
this?
Yeah. So what I do is I shoot my SLRs on an SD card,
Yeah.
and we're using, in terms of image management software, we're using VixWin Platinum from Dentsply, not Dentsply, Gendex, right? And it's a great. I mean, Tracker does a good job of it too. I'm not really sure how the other ones work, but I wasn't a big fan of Dentrix and stuff like that. But what I do is so I put a glove on top of the camera.
Okay. Like
So
over the button part?
over the button part, right? So I can
Yeah,
grab
yeah.
it with my glove, right?
Ah,
I mean,
okay, okay.
I've got huge oven mitts too, so that's a regular size, coffee cup, right?
Yeah.
So I can do it. If you need to do two, then you just put a glove on the other side too. But basically helps keep it nice and clean. And it's just a matter of just taking as many pictures as you can. Like shoot tons of pictures, like literally everything. It really doesn't add a lot of time to your workflow at all, like at all. And then when the patient's done, you're obviously taking X-rays, right? So all the X-rays go into the image management system as well. So what I do is I just take the SD card out.
Yeah.
I'll upload the X-rays onto the SD card as well. So then that gives me the patient's name because they're exported, right? Because the pictures aren't. And if I have time, I'll just go back to my so I can upload them into the image management software, which we do, right? But I'll just go back to my main computer, into Microsoft Windows. Open up. I use Windows, right?
Yeah.
Open up a new folder. Call it Nekky Jamal 4.6 implant, Neodent, Alvum, Helix, IPRF, APRF, Ridge Split, CBCT. Basically, all the keywords for when if you want to do a presentation or something.
Ah, you just go back. Yeah.
You type in search like ridge split, right, and all your ridge split cases will come up, or all your complication, right,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
complication, periimplantitis, all that stuff. So just as long as you start naming the folders, it becomes really easy to data mine stuff later on. And you'll, I mean, I probably got like I don't know, like right. You said about time is like I used to post like a case like probably every day, every other day, and I probably haven't posted a case. Geez, I don't know in a while. I think I probably have like maybe like 200-300 cases like ready to go, ready to post. I just need to like because what happens with social media initially we just like post the cases and like then you get the king of the king of Calgary calls you and says, "Can you please explain this in more detail?" And I'm like, "Yo, bro, this isn't like medical history and like dental school. Like, I mean,
It's not a
like,
textbook, man.
of course, man. Like, if they're friends of mine or they're nice, I mean, they send me a private message and like, can you give me some more information on this? Yeah, no problem, no problem. But if someone approaches me like, how dare you like not add text to this? I'm like, delete, block, like.
But man, don't you think it's kind of funny about our profession? We work with teeth all day, and then we cannot wait to come home and look at more teeth on the computer and talk
I
teeth
think
in the evening.
I think that just says something about the level of passion that you have for your
Yeah,
profession, the
totally.
dedication that you have to your profession. Like even like my wife, she's like, who does something on Zoom at 9 p.m. I said, honey, it's from the West Coast and stuff. She's like, what geeks want to listen to you at 9 p.m.? I'm like, well, honey, like honey, don't
More
say
than
that.
you
Like
think.
they have passion for what they do, honey. Like like
Yeah. No, man, I love it.
take
It's so
take take
take
pictures, take
pictures.
pictures. Yeah.
I love that, man. That's great. What other advice you got for new grads? And man, I'm learning here too. What else you got for us, man?
Okay, so we take your pace. You don't have to be Michael Jordan. You don't have to take Michael Jordan's course. Just take somebody's good course. You'll get some better follow up.
Yeah.
Take lots of pictures. Set some money aside because you never know what's going to happen in your life. I just wished a guy happy birthday yesterday. He's a guy from Lithuania, dentist, and ironically, it's Mindaugas Kudalis who messaged me. He said, "You messaged this guy happy birthday." I'm like, yeah. I met him at the RIPE conference with Jay Chun in Portugal. He's like, the
Yeah.
guy died last year. I was like, yee, right? Another
Ooh.
guy I went to med school with, he was a urology resident, Greg Roberts. I think he was from Lloyd, Westminster. That's BC, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was practicing
New
left foot.
Westminster's BC. Okay.
Lethbridge, it's Alberta. And
Yeah.
he's a urologist. And in third year residency, this guy was a Mormon guy. He's got a wife and three kids, three boys. In third year residency, the guy gets diagnosed with a brain tumor. He had like a gamma knife treatment and stuff like that. They sent him down to the States, finished residency, started practicing, practiced for 1 year. Brain cancer came back, and the poor guy died. And it's just like, and
Wow.
this guy was a great guy, man. Like guy, when I was doing my urology rotation, he was the first guy. Like, usually it's the med students who show up to round and grab all the charts and stuff. This guy would show up at 5:30. He'd always be the last guy rounding and stuff. Never made you feel like belittled. If you knew something, great. If you didn't know something, great. I remember one time we had to give a balance a patient's potassium, and luckily I just finished an internal medicine rotation, and
Yeah.
so between the slow potassium, the potassium that was added to the patient, and what we gave the patient in their IV line. Boom! I hit like literally took them from like 2.2 to 3.3, and the guy was like, "Damn, how'd you do that?" I was like, "Listen, I just finished like, yeah, internal medicine rotation. That was one of the things we were doing." And the guy's like, "Nice work, man, nice work." But yeah, like he just died, and like another colleague of mine, he was a dentist, his orthodontist. In Niagara Falls. His wife died, like just died. Like it's so put some money away because you never know, where life's going to take you. You can end up getting injured. 2015, I was playing ice hockey, broke my leg, couldn't work for a while, right?
Really?
So you need to have some money. Well, I still did go to work actually, but like I
Yeah, you did.
I still went to work, but it was sitting dentistry only. So obviously, we weren't doing any implants, anything you got to stand for, or you
Yeah.
got to get leverage over the patient. We weren't doing any of that. Uh,
So like
uh,
how much do you keep aside? Do you keep like a percentage of every check? Do you try to like balance it out throughout the year? What kind of advice can you give?
uh, the best advice I can give is live within your means. You're a dentist. You're not a rock star, right?
Yeah.
Live within your means. So ask yourself what it is that you actually need, right? Obviously, you need to pay for a home, you need to pay for basic expenses, you need to have a vehicle, all that stuff, but just be reasonable and put money aside. Like a lot of people are just sitting there racking on debt like it's going out of style.
Totally.
And or people start getting, oh, my classmate bought a Porsche, or like I remember one guy, he's a cardiologist, he bought like a Porsche GT3, not even a Porsche, he bought like a $300,000 Porsche, man. Like, it's like
Here we're
it's just
driving
like
around a Porsche with a cloth seat, and this guy's buying the good stuff, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, actually, I think the GT3 has cloth seats
Really?
for weight. Yeah, it's got a plastic windshield too for weight, right? But just live within your means. Put money aside, because you never know what the future holds.
That's right.
And it also is, it's a good healthy habit. Like how many dentists do we know they just continue practicing because they can't afford to,
Totally.
they can't afford not to. What else would I tell young people is work, right? Is work, right? There's no one ever got good working part time, right?
Yeah.
Work, right? You talk about Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. What does he talk about? He talks about
10,000
10,000 hours.
hours. Yeah, man.
You got to get your 10. The sooner you get your 10,000 hours. So if you work 8 to 4 every day, 5 days a week for 5 years. So in dental school, they're like after 5 years you pick up everything. So for 8 to 4, 5 days a week for 5 years, you get to 10,000 hours, right?
Right.
Uh, so you got to work. No one ever got good working part time. Now, if you get older and you want to work part time, you're going to have kids, or you want to spend time with your family. That's great. But when you first graduate, you got to work and you got to immerse yourself with cases, right? Like I remember the late David Stanley Precious, the dean of Dalhousie Dental School, also the head of the oral surgery department. My buddies who were oral surgery residents there, they were telling me that he'd come to the operating room and just look at the models, look at the patient, and he could operate because he's done that many surgeries, right? Whereas everyone else is like sitting there, like looking at all the files and doing the model surgery and all this stuff. This guy literally just go to the operating room and boom, he could do it. Like it just
Yeah, yeah.
it'd be like damn. It's like how'd you do that, right? Because he's done like so many of them. So work, and then the last thing I'm going to tell young people is find yourself a good mentor.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Mentor for what? Dentistry or life?
Everything.
How do you
So the
find
best
that?
piece of advice I was given was find someone who's 40 years old who's living the life that you want to live, and hopefully the person you're admiring is not an alcoholic or a drug addict driving a Porsche. Okay?
Just because he drives the Porsche, that's the life you want to have, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what my son he saw this guy. One of my brother-in-law. He's a physician. One of his colleagues drives a what's that car called? A McLaren, right?
Oh yeah.
And he's an orthopedic surgeon. So my son's like, I want to be an orthopedic surgeon. I was like, why do you want to be an orthopedic surgeon? He's like, because I can drive that orange car, Daddy. I'm like, no, you don't have to be an orthopedic surgeon. He's a kid. It's kind of cute. But find yourself a good mentor. So find someone who's in their 40s, living kind of the life that you could see yourself living, and ask them how they got there, right? And you'll be interested to see where their stories are, because literally the stories are all like a box of chocolates. But the importance of mentorship also is they can give you good advice in terms of not just how to do dentistry, but about patient management, about which patients are red flags, and you don't want to touch this case because it's going to come back to bite you. Uh, you know, uh, uh, Tips on life, tips on how to handle yourself. As a young professional, a lot of times I find young dentists, basically come to the office and they've gone through university dealing with all intelligent people and hardworking people, and you get to the real world where you get to meet the rest of the folks, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody else who comes from every walk of life. And they're like, "Oh, that assistant is stupid." It's like, guy, dude, she's got a grade 10 education. Like, she's like, or he's got a
Yeah.
great education. What do you expect, man? Like, I mean, like, how about some empathy and some compassion, So, it can give you some good advice in terms of how to just sort of handle yourself in the dental world. How to talk to other colleagues, how to network with other dentists within the profession, and just basically set up good life experiences for you. So, but find yourself a good mentor, because a good mentorship will save you so much agony, so much agony. You are not out there by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, these hairs, these hairs here, what's left of them were black ones, right? And I was thin once. I was actually thin. Now I'm just like fat. Like my face is like droopy. Like I could probably use a little bit of time in the wind tunnel, right?
Yeah.
But find yourself a good mentor, right? Because you'll be surprised. Like literally, I graduated in 2001, which sounds like if you told me in 2001 you graduated in 1981, I'm like, man, that dude's old, man. Like
Yeah. I find
that's the
anything
same
over
thing
the year
now. Like I'm
2000, we're
telling
good,
someone who
man.
graduates, I'm telling someone who graduates in 2021 or 22 that I graduated in 2001. They're like, oh, that's really nice. But in the back of their head, they're like, this dude is old, man. Like, but,
You can't
but you
relate
have
to
to
us at all.
realize, what's that?
They can't relate to us at all, man. We're trying to stay young though. We're trying to stay young.
But the life is the same. The challenges we kind of dealt with. Okay, there was no Facebook or social media or
Right.
distractions in your pocket like this, where things are
Totally.
ringing every 5 minutes and stuff like that. When you missed a lecture back then, you actually had to borrow your buddy's notes and photocopy them. You know,
Totally.
if
Yeah.
the teacher mentioned, a 1961 paper by Dr. Gargiulo and biological width, you actually had to go into the stacks of the library and photocopy the article if you could find it. Now it's just like everything's like click, click, click. Everything's just given, and
Done.
you know
Yeah.
pe- people have forgotten that sort of stuff. But what I'm trying to say is the challenges that we faced then, from a structural perspective, may be different now, but they were still challenges. And so your mentors can really help you, and your peers, like, just talk to guys who graduated, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out, right? Your peers can really save you a lot of agony. You're not going through this by yourself. We've all gone through this before, and we can give you some good guidance with respect to how to, not get flustered. Sometimes I even sit there and say, I'm like, man, if I graduated today, I don't know if I could do this. Right?
No kidding, man. I think that mentor would have saved me tens and thousands of dollars in bad investments, bad choices. I couldn't agree more. We all need a good mentor, but I think that the sage advice there is you're not in this alone. Even if you're rural or you're urban, you're not in this alone, because sometimes dentistry feels like you're makes it feel like you're on an island, and it doesn't have to be. We've all been through
But
the same experiences, so reach out.
you do that to yourself, though. You put yourself on
Totally,
that island, right? You don't need to be on
absolutely,
that island. There's other guys out there as well. And the
yeah,
other thing I wanted to talk about was a colleague of mine who, at the age of 75, 51 years of practice, right?
yeah,
Finally decided to retire as an orthodontist. Very nice guy, Ed O'Neill, out here in Kingston. I think
Yeah.
he graduated in what year did he graduate? 1969, right? Okay,
Wow. Yeah.
so yeah, it's like wow, like what, like back, and by the way, back then, like the names of certain things were different than where they are now. But what I remember very uniquely was I know I still he still messages me. Remind me not to be remind me to message him back or call the guy back. He actually messaged me to go out for dinner. I don't think I responded to the guy. I was like busy. But anyway, like my point being is what was amazing was I asked him about a case, and he said, I've seen this case before. I saw this case in 1976, right? Similar patient who had a lot of supernumerary teeth. And he just looked at the Panorex and he's like, because she had like 9 in the anterior. And he's like,
Yeah.
this is the real central incisor, supernumerary, 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 real lateral incisor, supernumerary, supernumerary. I'm just like, damn, how's like, I was like, how are you picking this out? Because like nobody else could figure it out. And the other orthodontist, he's like, got a cone beam CT scan on this.
Yeah.
Like it was like a 6-year-old kid. I'm not taking a CT scan on a 6-year-old kid. I'm like, well, we got something simple like a Panorex. But the interesting thing that he said was he used the term practice, right? And I want to ask you from a philosophical perspective,
Yeah.
what does the word practice mean to you?
To me, it means something that you need to learn how to do so you can get the repetition of it, so you can you're ready for game day, or ready for the real deal.
Get in the game there, Nikki. Get
Yeah,
in the game, but it's still practice,
it
right?
is still practice.
We're practicing dentistry. We're practicing medicine, right? Practice. This guy retired after 51 years of practice.
Yeah,
We're talking about practice.
practice.
Not the
Allen
game, not
Iverson.
the game.
Yeah,
We're talking about
practice.
practice. Practice. Why are we
Yeah,
talking about practice, Nikki? Right? Because it truly is practice, right? We never master it. And if you can just think about that. And what I'm talking about mentorship and asking people is that a lot of people graduate from dental school and like literally they think, oh, I'm a doctor, or I passed my national dental examining board exam. I'm at the same level as you, right?
yeah,
And I remember Dr. Jerry Collins. He was Major Collins in the military at the time, and I don't know if he's still practicing. He's out in Orillia, Ontario. Phenomenal clinician, this guy, one of the best clinicians I've ever seen. But he always used to say that when you first graduate,
yeah.
you have to stop thinking yourself as as are you past your exams? I'm on the same level as this guy, sort of thing. You have to think about yourself as that you're just barely legal, right?
Totally. That's how you should be
Right.
right after school. You're
And
good enough not to kill anyone.
even now, like today, my associate, she asked me if I could take a fibroma out of her mother-in-law's lip. And I said, do you like your mother-in-law? And she's like, yeah, I love her. And I said, okay. In that case, I won't do it. But it was right close to the Vermilion border. And I was just honest with her. I said, listen, as gangster as I am and the surgeries that I do, I probably done this procedure, I don't know, like 10 times in my career, right?
Yeah,
She'd probably be better off going to see the plastic surgeon over at the plastic surgery clinic. Is right by the Vermilion border. So they've got more
totally.
experience of working in this anatomy. They have better surgical equipment. They have a real electrosurge, not like the little thing we use, right? They got a real
Yeah,
Bovie, like bipolar thing. So I mean, like, it's about knowing what your limitations are, and sometimes you just have to take a little bit of humility and say, I can't do this case, or how about I refer it and I watch it, or I ask a colleague for some more information. So you have to remember that it is practice. It is practice. We never master anything, and when you first graduate, don't think of yourself as like. I mean, some of you guys are going to be phenomenal clinicians out there, and I hope you guys prove me. I hope you prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong.
yeah.
That's great, but like to stay out of trouble, view yourself as being barely legal and just go slowly. Go slowly. Take your time, right?
I like that.
Because no one who ever got in trouble said, I wish I'd gone faster, right? Everyone
So
who gets in trouble
true.
says, I wish I went slowly. Just in the
Took
newspaper
my time.
last week, the dental patient dies in general anesthesia
Yeah,
in an oral surgeon's office in South Carolina, North Carolina, or
totally.
something like that, right?
Yeah,
And I'm like, how the hell somebody die in the dental office, man? Like general anesthesia for an implant? Like, I mean, like, like, like I do IV sedation, but I convince all my patients to do it without IV sedation. I say, listen, you won't feel a thing. I'll talk to you through the whole thing. I'll make you comfortable. You'll be in total control. right? And why do I do that? It's because anesthesia is not safe, man, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Take the
some
risk
people are
out.
gonna get there and be like, behead Khan, like, like what the hell? What's he saying? Like, we're making extra money by doing IV sedation, but we offer it for some of our patients who just can't psychologically get past that gap. But for the majority of our patients, if you just give them good local anesthesia and you freeze them and you talk to them and you're nice to them, you'll be amazed at what you can get away with. By the way,
Totally.
all those implant cases you see me post,
Yeah.
local anesthetic,
Attaboy.
all local anesthetic.
I find local is way easier for implants than dealing with sedation because then the patient's opening halfway. It's a nightmare, I think. But
And you're not worried about the sedation because when that monitor goes beep beep beep
yeah,
beep beep, I don't know about you, but I'm just like my head's like on a swivel. I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's going on?
hit the
Like,
mute button. I
are,
got shit to do.
are the Klingon coming to attack or something? What the hell's going on here, man? Like,
Oh man. Waji, man, I could talk to you all night. I can't thank you enough for coming, man. You've inspired us all. We're gonna be taking some pictures. We're gonna go find a mentor. I just turned 38 years old. I feel like I need a mentor now too. So thank you, man. I've learned a lot from you. I enjoy your wisdom and I love your energy, buddy.
well, Nekky, thanks for inviting me for the show. Hopefully, if there's one person we can help from this, that's
That's
that.
right.
I've and what's the thing? If people want to reach out, reach out. Like I said, I don't bite unless, of course, you're that person who's like, oh, why come you didn't do it like this? And I was like, okay, man. Like,
Oh man, I love you,
and I
buddy.
love the work that you're doing too. I love your energy. You and both Jason Adanada, there's like people
Yeah.
that I just find inspiring. I find both of you guys inspiring. I love the setup you got for your what's it called show here, and I love the advertising that goes along with your courses and stuff like that. I'm always like, this guy's got energy. I like this guy. But the thing I liked most about you, by the way, is the things that most people don't know is
Yeah,
that
what's
you
that?
are a goddamn giant, bro.
Oh,
Like, normally I don't feel short. I'm 6'2". You made me
yeah.
feel short, man. I was like, what the hell, man? This guy's like 6'5", man. Like, that's like the starting centerman for the Toronto Raptors. Where does this guy come from?
Oh man, I wish we need to go to a Raptor game, man. I haven't been to a Raptor game in 2 years. It's killing me, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll go definitely sometime. What's the thing? There's a whole bunch of guys. I don't know if you know Peter Nago and Mark Bishara and those guys.
Yeah.
Bowman Wally. We went to a game back in December. Yeah, good times, man. Basketball is a lot of fun, man. And being from the six, we won that 2019 championship. But yeah, this this is a great thing for basketball. Unfortunately, Nekky, I'm more of a hockey fan, right? So like.
You're wasting your time, buddy.
Sadly, like my father was disappointed that I didn't become an engineer.
Yeah.
Both my kids hate ice hockey. They're like, Daddy, this is boring. Like, what the hell? I'm like, you guys want to go Raptors game? Oh yeah, Daddy, we'll go Raptors
Yeah.
game. Raptors.
Oh man, you're too funny, buddy. Well, I can't wait to meet up regardless, man. We will chat soon. Thank you so much for coming on the live show, Waji, man.
Thank you, sir. Have yourself a good evening.
You too. We'll see you later, buddy.
Bye.